one thing I want to point out is gold stocks are underperforming gold. In fact, they've been underperforming gold for a while now. Take a look at some of the big names. None of them are really at new highs. Newmont Mining isn't. Yamana Gold is. That's probably the exception. But look, with gold up here, big names like Gold Corp and Gold Fields are to the downside. Maybe we could talk a little bit more about that with our next guest here. Marcus Grubb is the managing director for investments at the World Gold Council, and they have just released their quarterly global trends for gold report. Marcus joins us now from London. And Marcus, I think the interesting thing is the fact that we're at a new high on gold here. So let me just ask you the obvious question. Is gold at a bubble right now?
Well, absolutely, we are at a new high, and we also have just released a report that shows very strong demand for gold in Q2.
Hey guys,
we saw very strong performance from India and China, and a very strong jewelry demand as well in the second quarter. We don't believe gold is in a bubble.
Let me talk. Very interesting to see what the gold demand looks like right now. Put up this full screen here, because there's been changes in the way people appear to be buying gold. That's kind of evident in your report. So jewelry demand, for example, up 6%. Important thing is that there's some changes here. Technology up 2%. Bars up 13%. And put up the other full screen. I want to show that. And I think there's a big change there. Look at that. People are more interested in owning gold bars compared to a year ago. Why is that happening?
Absolutely. Well, you've seen strong bar demand and coin demand actually in this quarter, up about 13%. Largely that has been in India and China this time round, partly on the back of high inflation figures in both of those countries.
Yeah.
Also, I think it's a demand for physical gold, to hold physical gold in these difficult economic times in Western countries, in particular in Europe and also in the United States.
Sure looks that way. And gold bars, by the way, you don't have to hold 400-ounce London Good Delivery bars. You can have as little as 1 ounce, so that may be helping the popularity. I want to put up exchange-traded funds, the amount of gold, because I get asked this question a lot. It looks fairly stable. The amount from quarter to quarter kind of goes up and down, but for the last 5 quarters, the amount of gold held in the GLD and other exchange-traded funds has been fairly stable. But look at that green line, Marcus. The price of gold is going up. So the supply of gold held in the ETFs stable, but the price of gold going up. What does this mean to you?
Well, I think if you look back over the first half of this year, you've seen more volatility in the gold price. I know we're at another all-time high today, but you've had 2 price corrections, and we actually saw redemptions in ETFs in the first quarter, about 62 tons, but that has been reversed in the second quarter. So I think since then, with the resumption of the debt crisis in Europe and the debt downgrade in the US, ETF tonnage has again hit a new all-time high in July and August. So we believe the fundamental picture is very strong in the ETFs, despite the fall on a Q-on-Q basis in this quarter. And we think you're going to see strong ETF demand when the Q3 figures come out.
And of course, Soros was a seller last quarter, and I know that looks like that depressed. There was outflows from the gold ETFs last quarter.
That's right. That's right. In Q1, that's correct. Absolutely.
Yeah. Let's move on, because there's a very interesting switch in who's buying gold, not just what kind of gold they're buying. Put up the next screen here, because it looks to me like the Indians and the Chinese have now become really significant global players. Now, this is from the second quarter compared to the second quarter of last year. India is buying 38% more gold, China 25%, and look at these drops in the USA and Europe. What is this telling you?
Absolutely. Well, China and India are now very important markets for gold. As you say, if you look at bar and coin demand and also jewelry demand in this quarter, the 2 countries combined were over 50% of demand in both jewelry and in bar and coin investment. So they're very important markets. I think the other thing to bear in mind is the demand for gold in these countries is being driven by strong economic growth and by increasing disposable income and increasing household wealth, the complete reverse of what's happening in Western countries at the moment, where private incomes are under pressure, economic growth is very slow, debt levels are very high. So we see this as a long-term trend of increased buying in China and India, in both the form of jewelry and also in bar and coin investment.
And certainly supports fundamentals for gold. When you got the Indians and the Chinese now becoming major players, I mean, the women of India are essentially the biggest buyers of gold in the world right now.
That's correct, and India has the largest stock of gold too. Of the total tonnage of gold that represents a 20-meter cube, all the gold ever mined is about 166,000 tons. Indian jewelry is estimated to be about 18,000 tons. I mean, to put that in perspective, the Federal Reserve in the US has total reserves of 8,133 tons. So Indian households, mainly Indian women, own more gold than the U.S. Federal Reserve.
I've often heard it said by gold experts that the monsoon season is very important for gold. We're ending the monsoon season soon. Why is monsoon season important for gold?
Yes, it's really because the monsoon season is very important overall for the Indian economy. Across all the 27 states in India, the agricultural sector is very important. There are many, many crops that are grown, foodstuffs that are grown in India, and as a result of the monsoon, depending on how good the crop is, determines how much disposable income the households have, especially in rural areas, with which to buy gold, either as investment gold or jewelry gold. So the market is always looking to see if it's been a good monsoon season that will lead to buying in September, October.
Now, there's a relationship you would not necessarily have made, but I'm glad you succeeded in pointing out that relationship for us. Marcus Grubb, World Gold Council, thanks very much. Appreciate your help.
Thank you.
Guys, back to you.